Hello beautiful souls, how is everyone doing? I hope that you're having an amazing day, an amazing morning, or an amazing evening whenever you're watching this video. So I know it's been a while since I uploaded, and this is kind of a different vibe than what you're used to seeing with me. I had to take a mental health break. I want to make like a promise like, oh, I'm gonna be uploading every day or every week or whatever. I don't want to make a promise like that until I can like actually keep it. So I'm not gonna say like I'm gonna be uploading more or less. I'm gonna upload when I feel called to, but I do want to take a different route with this channel because I feel like the last few videos I made were not 100% authentic to who I am, if that makes sense. It didn't really match my brand and who I truly am at my core. So I'm glad that I took that break because a lot of introspect happened and a lot of inner stuff happened, which is really essential for your spiritual journey. I think the inner work is probably the most important part, like shadow work. So that kind of brings me to today's video. Today I wanted to talk about inner work and the importance of inner work, you guys, because it is so important. No matter what you are or like what you're focused on in terms of your spiritual journey or your self-development journey, the inner work really matters. Like really facing the darker parts of yourself, that's what really matters. And like really being able to bring that to the surface, because a lot of the times, like when we were children, you know, we act a certain way, we behave a certain way depending on who we truly are. I feel like when we were kids, that's who you truly are at your core. Your inner child, that's who you truly are at your core. Sometimes your inner child can be tailored to your environment and like how you grew up. For example, like, you know, maybe the things that you liked as a kid are not the same things as now, but like that pure innocent spirit that you had as a child doesn't exist anymore. So maybe the things that you like but you suppress or you try not to like them or like try to avoid them, that is your inner child being suppressed and being pushed down. Like, no, we're not doing this because if we did this, it would threaten our safety or it would threaten image and stuff like that. So shadow work is really important, especially when it comes to like healing your inner child. And you're probably wondering, like, what does that even mean? What is shadow work? What is healing your inner child? What even is my inner child? I don't know what that is. So I'm here today to kind of explain it to you. There's probably people out there who could explain it better than me, but I'm going to be showing you guys kind of my perspective on what shadow work is and what inner child healing is. So I'm going to start with shadow work. So the concept of shadow work came from the idea of the human shadow, which was an idea by a psychologist named Carl Jung. Let me pull up the definition of the shadow. Shadow, meaning our psychological or personal shadow, is comprised of those qualities, impulses, and emotions that we cannot bear for others to see, and thus cast into the hidden domain of ourselves. So all the things that you possibly repress about yourself, this could be, you could repress these things for a number of reasons. Like maybe when you were younger, being loud, for example. Maybe you're very hyper and like you have a powerful voice. You can enunciate your voice very well. Maybe you have a lot to say. Maybe you're very excited, right? Maybe you're very talkative. Maybe you're really good with your words. Maybe you really have like a silver tongue. You're really great with speaking. But because when you were a child, your parents told you, oh, don't be loud in public, like, shh, be quiet, you know? Or maybe you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it be a boyfriend, girlfriend, or something in between. Maybe they used to tell you, oh, shh, be quiet, you know, you talk too much or you're too loud. So like things like that can cause like a psychological thing within us where we're kind of like, oh, well, being myself doesn't make me safe, so I'm gonna repress it. And I'm not gonna let anyone see that side of me because I don't want anyone to see that side of me. That is basically what your shadow is. So I actually personally struggle with this issue talking, right? I used to be so quiet as a kid because I was very like out there. Like I was like a performer as a kid, like just strut down my my kitchen hallway and just like, either sing or dance or speak or whatever I was doing. And I, as an adult now, I kind of struggle with speaking my mind with people, or speaking in groups, or speaking in public, like speaking to a group of people, or like being more assertive, like those types of things. That has been a repressed part of my shadow, because like that loud energy, that energy of like, I have a lot to say and I'm loud and proud and everyone's gonna hear me and what I have to say holds power, all of that has been repressed into the shadow of, you know, Nikki, right? Like, that's what I mean by your shadow. So shadow work is so important because like it allows you to kind of dig up the dark parts and the dark corners of your heart and figures out like, what exactly are your shadows? Who is the shadow version of you? And how can you either integrate your shadow, so bring those parts of yourself out that maybe you repressed because you're afraid of what people would think. So bringing that out into the world and integrating it into your personality now, because obviously sometimes the shadow can work in, I don't want to say like evil ways, but sometimes it can be like a little more negative or like limiting. So how can you integrate those parts of your shadow now in order to benefit you? So maybe you're someone who struggles with setting boundaries because when you were younger, you were like, your opinions and your needs were repressed, right? So that's like a shadow aspect, like your needs and values and stuff like that being repressed in order to please somebody else, meaning your parents or your siblings or family members or friends or peers, significant others, whatever it is. So maybe now you can bring out that louder part. When I say that, I mean like someone who speaks their mind, like someone who is very vocal and their voice holds a lot of power. Like, you ever meet those people who have like a really powerful voice and when they talk, like the whole room goes silent? That's because like they have a very enunciated voice. So that's what I mean by, maybe if you struggle with setting boundaries, like maybe that's a time to kind of go within your shadow and ask yourself questions like, okay, what exactly caused this to where I don't feel comfortable sharing my truth? What happened in my childhood, or what happened in growing up, somewhere along the lines, wherever it happened, what happened in my life that caused me to not set boundaries with people? What in my life caused me to be afraid to speak my truth and to speak my mind with people? What happened in my life that made me suppress this part of myself? That's the type of questions you should be asking yourself if you're doing shadow work. So like the term shadow work just means that you're doing work on your inner self, on your shadow. So that kind of is what shadow work is. Now, shadow work and inner child healing can go hand in hand. So like if you're doing shadow work, like the act of, you know, asking yourself questions, a lot of the time inner child healing is associated with shadow work. You can have a random moment of like inner child healing throughout any time of the day. It doesn't have to be you sitting down like asking yourself questions like you would with shadow work. And the thing is too, shadow work comes up naturally as well. Shadow work doesn't just happen when you have to formally sit down and do it. Obviously you can do it like that, but like when you become more conscious and you become more aware of your everyday thoughts and your everyday habits and patterns, ways that you speak to people, your habits, like what do you do every single day, like that kind of stuff. Whenever you become aware of a negative thought pattern or a negative habit, or maybe you're trying to do something new and your brain tells you, no, we're not worthy of this, that is the perfect time for you to start asking questions instead of just taking that statement as true, like, oh, I'm not good enough for love. Okay, but why are you not good enough to have love? Why are you not good enough to have a loving relationship? Like that kind of question, that is a perfect shadow work question. Why do you feel like you're not worthy? Why do you feel like this is happening? What happened in your life before that has trained your ego to believe that you're not worthy of this thing that you want? So I hope that made sense, you guys. Basically, that's what shadow work is. And shadow work and like your whole inner journey, like that inner child healing, is so important in terms of your journey, because like that really helps you discover who you truly are. And discovering who you truly are comes with that darkness as well. It comes with darkness. It comes with the good, the bad, and the ugly. It comes with all of those things. So it's up to you whether you want to integrate it or change it, but you cannot run from it. A lot of the times people, and myself included, get stuck in the spiritual journey because they aren't doing the inner work. And sometimes the inner work isn't like setting up a ritual and doing some journal prompts you found online. Now, I do think journal prompts can be awesome, especially if you find them online. Like, we live in a time where you can access literally anything from the internet, which is great. But if you're not like fully invested in it and like the questions don't really make sense as to what you're trying to heal, then shadow work isn't going to work for you, you know? Another side of shadow work that does not work is when you're constantly doing it. Like when you're doing it every single day and you're not like taking a break, or you fall into this like trap of like healing. You have to heal everything before you're worthy of X, Y, and Z. That's not true at all. Like if you start to say, oh, I need to be fully healed in order to get my new car, or I need to be fully healed in order to get my dream relationship. No, you don't have to be fully healed, because healing is a lifetime journey. You're going to be healing every single day of your life. New things are going to happen in your life that need to be healed from as well. So I think the best thing to stay out of that healing trap, because I was stuck in that healing trap. I think I was stuck in that healing trap for like a year and a half now. We're just like doing shadow work almost every day and like just being in such like a depressive mood for a majority of the time because we're healing. No, you acknowledge your emotion, right? If an emotion comes up, that has to deal with shadow work. If an emotion comes up, don't repress it. Feel the emotion. Feel what you need to feel. If you need to cry, if you need to scream, if you need to hit something, obviously don't hit people or like don't break things, but like if you need to like, you know, like hit your chair, or you need to just go to the bathroom and cry, like do it, okay? I cannot tell you how many times that I've literally sat on my floor and just bawled my eyes out, like just from healing, you know? And that's like, it was like a release. Like the minute I stopped crying, like the tears ended, it was like a weight lifted off me. Like it was like all that suppression was just stuck inside my heart, and it just came right out in my tears. All of that comes out some way or another. Like excess energy in our bodies have to come out some way or another. So sometimes when we have heavier emotions, you gotta cry that shit out, like to just let it out and just let it go. Because like if you keep it in, it's just gonna build and build and build, and it's gonna bubble up, like overflow, and then it's gonna overflow, and literally the smallest thing can trigger you, or you can act from like an unaware place, or you can act from your ego. So shadow work is so important because it breaks down the ego in a way. Now the ego is still important, but like when your ego is compiled of like old stories that you tell yourself and old narratives that you're using for your life, and you don't want to use those narratives anymore, but you feel stuck in them, that's because you're not doing your inner work. And that's why you're not confronting those parts of yourself that makes you identify with a certain way. Okay, I'll give you an example. So if I'm someone who says, oh, I'm lazy, if I keep saying that I'm lazy, even if I'm just saying it as like whatever, or like even as a joke or like whatever, that's still a very self-deprecating thing to say. Like, I'm lazy, I can't get anything done. If I say that, I'm saying I am lazy. I am affirming that that's what I am. And that is a part of my shadow, because like when I actually worked on things, I was called a nerd, that kind of thing, right? So that could even be a part of your shadow, like even down to your smallest little daily habits and thought patterns and the little words that you say to yourself could be a part of your shadow. Like, so yeah, that's basically like my little explanation of shadow work, what it means to me. So I want to get into how can you start shadow work? Where do I start? What do I do to do shadow work? My best advice I can give you is don't try to make it too formal. You can make it formal if you want, but I think when things come up naturally, that's when you do the most healing, and that's when shadow work is at its most optimal point, because You're not forcing it. What you can do for your shadow work, you can look up journal prompts online. Look up journal prompts that have to do with what specifically you're trying to heal. So my best advice for you is to become more aware. Become more aware of your everyday thoughts. Become more aware of your everyday behaviors. Become aware of your everyday habits. When you start becoming aware, and like you can become more aware by just being more present. So just taking a breath and being in the moment rather than like thinking about the past or thinking about the future. When you actually become aware of the fact that you're thinking about the past and the future, you can now identify, what exactly am I thinking of from the past? What exactly am I thinking of from the future? If you keep thinking about the same future and past, you're going to keep repeating that cycle every single day. So when you become aware of these things, pick one little thing out of like the bag, for example. Pick one thing out and look at it, like really observe it. Observe what exactly it is. So let's say, for example, let's say I meet somebody that I find very attractive, okay? And they compliment me and they ask for my number or something. Now, my confident self and my dream version of myself would be super confident and be like, yeah, I know I'm the shit. Okay, give me your number. Or here's mine, you know, text me. And like just have this attractive person like swept off their feet. That's like what the dream version of me would do. However, the unhealed self, the one who hasn't done her shadow work, is kind of looking at this like, oh, I'm not worthy of this love. Like, what if I'm too much for him? What if he thinks I'm weird? What if he thinks I'm ugly? What if he doesn't think I'm pretty enough? When you hear those types of thoughts, stop. Just stop for a second. Just take a breath and like become aware of it and change it. Now it's easier said than done, especially when it comes to like changing your thought patterns and behaviors. It takes practice. But I promise you guys, if you practice it and if you're consistent with this practice, then eventually you'll get there. You'll get to that place where that old pattern or that part of your shadow is out and it's here, right? But it's here in a more positive way. Oh, maybe you're quirky, okay? So you're talking to this person that you find very attractive and your quirky side comes out a bit. Like you say something silly or you do something like clumsy or something like, and they think it's cute because now you are in the space where you're like, I know who I am. And maybe I'm a little quirky, but that's okay because I still deserve love no matter what. And that person's gonna see that and be like, damn, like what is it about this person? And I'm telling you guys, it's all in your energy. We'll get into that into another video. Things like that, like when people see somebody who is sure of themselves and who knows who they are, it doesn't really matter what you look like on the outside. People will naturally be more drawn to you. And people will naturally just like you more and be nicer to you just because of, you know, your energy. So that is like the number one way to improve your energy is the inner work. Really face those parts of yourself that you suppress, that you say are not true, but they are true. Like really just face all your shadows and demons, if you will, right? And really confront them head on instead of like trying to send them away or suppress them. Just look them dead in the face, right? Look at them as just somebody who needs love, you know? Because at the end of the day, that's what we all need, just love. So look at that part of yourself with love, and whether it's a more positive or negative thing, you can still integrate it and you can still bring more positive qualities to it while bringing in that part of yourself that maybe you suppressed. You know, just really own all of who you are. That's basically what shadow work is. Just owning all of yourself, everything of who you are, like all the bad parts, all the nasty parts, all the mean or evil parts. It's not really mean or evil. It's just like sometimes, you know, if we don't set boundaries, people will walk all over you. So you gotta like really just stand firm in what you want, what you demand for yourself. Like that's not selfish, it's not bad, you know, which a lot of us may deem some of it is. And this is just like, as I'm talking, I'm just kind of giving you examples of shadow work that I've done within myself. Like, you know, just because you want to speak your mind doesn't mean that you're loud or obnoxious or scary or intimidating. It does not mean that at all. Maybe you are intimidating to some people, but only because they're intimidated by you. Another great way to do shadow work is looking at other people. So like maybe certain things that we judge about other people, or maybe we admire about other people, are even a suppression of our own shadow. How we admire people and how we view people, that can be a big mirror in terms of your shadow. Like if you judge somebody, that can really like just hold up a mirror and show you what is it that you don't like about yourself. You know what I mean? So honestly, anything can be used as a catalyst for shadow work. It's just that how dedicated are you to actually do these things? How dedicated are you towards your growth, that you would like to do your inner work, that you're excited about doing inner work because you know that it's gonna bring you to who exactly you're meant to be. And who you're meant to be is just a blend of all that you have gone through so far that has made you to who you are now. So yeah, that's basically my video as to what exactly is shadow work, what is inner work, what have I been doing these past few months. I've been doing my shadow work, okay? I've been in my healing circle, okay? I've been in my healing trap and now I'm out of it. But yeah, healing is just like really just, healing is gonna take your entire life. So don't sweat it. Don't try to rush everything. And no matter what, like, no matter what dark parts you pull out within yourself, remind yourself of who you are now and remind yourself of the love that you have within you, because even those darker parts deserve love too. And learn to accept yourself for all that you are, because you are all you got. The universe has created you just the way you are in perfect image, right? They say like you are the perfect image of God. God made you perfectly just as you are. So embrace all of it. Don't be afraid to be fully you, because when you be fully you, you inspire everyone else around you to do the same, and you inspire everyone to do good. And you know, sometimes it can be hard, but it's really just about learning, and it's about the journey rather than like where you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to be. It's not about that. You will become who you're supposed to be regardless of what happens to you. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next one, because I'm very excited to bring more videos like this to you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.